Today we're going to talk about solubility. Solubility describes the ability of one substance called the solute to dissolve in another substance called the solvent. Today the solute is salt and the solvent is distilled water. I've poured 1 cup of water into this measuring cup and I'm going to add the solute, salt, until we make a solution. There are 3 different ways to describe a solution: unsaturated, saturated, and supersaturated. Today with this experiment, I'm going to give you a visual example of each type. To start, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt into the cup of water. Next, I'll stir the solution until all the salt is dissolved. As you can see, it still looks like water and there's no salt settled at the bottom. We could add more salt to this solution still without having salt at the bottom, so that means this is an unsaturated solution. Now I'm going to add another teaspoon of salt. I'll stir until all the salt goes away. In this solution, all the salt dissolves, but you can tell that if you add just a tiny bit more, some will rest on the bottom. That means this solution is saturated because it's holding as much solute in the solvent as possible without forming a solid, which we call a precipitate, on the bottom. Now I'll add 1 more teaspoon of salt. In this solution, no matter how much I stir, salt still rests at the bottom. This solution is supersaturated, meaning there's too much solute for the solvent to dissolve. A supersaturated solution forms a precipitate at the bottom, which in this case, there's salt at the bottom of the measuring cup.